Okay, good.
Really?
It varies.
Yeah.
The older home, yes, the older small cottage. But now that the family's grown, I also rented an additional cottage because we can't all be living in a small cottage. So, yeah, so I thought Donna's going to come in, her grandkids. We're working like mom and dad were supposed to come. Dad will be talking.
I would see. I was medical, whatever.
I envision being next to her like this. You do it. Doctors get in there. Like right before, right like the head popped out.
July 10th, actually, away for retirement home. So she will go on.
You want to catch them? I was like, that's why you're here.
I really think you want
I did that.
Yes. Yes.
I did, and like, of course, Alice is like,
Okay.
I was like, it's wrong. Like, it's fine.
That's
But
One thing I had to
it's just, it was so unnecessary.
And he was like going green, like backing away from him. When they went
and then she had been on rounds.
Okay.
I don't better go do a thing quick here and there.
There is
Okay. I will let him know. Thank you.
But now his mom, she was on her way.
That one's not bad. But
And then this is Dot.
a year later, he's like,
So, yeah,
It's like you want to get to the guy. Just say, yeah.
like Jenner. Don't have room in the suitcase. Very nice.
Okay. As soon as you get that.
He bought one like that. It's like, it's compulsive. Where are you maybe it's just all
That's what she. Just up until when? I don't know. That's I do like that. I've seen a couple of photos. Yeah.
I need some water. Sometimes does anyone else want?
exactly. Or it gets together.
Dad at Mom at the hospital, David at his place, and in between I had to go to Walmart to get some clothes for physio.
Are you guys joining the new family?
Family?
This is all family.
Oh, well, we're not family.
Just if you have any skipples or
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, buddy.
Down the hallway, he sees his two friends that he has sitting at the table, and he goes, "Okay, see ya."
They're a little more important.
The walk was nice, though.
Good to see you. This has been
Oh,
great.
see you to you. Oh my gosh.
Cheryl.
Not his friend. Oh. That's quality time, not quantity.
Oh no, here.
Yeah, clearly he's like, I get here.
Okay. Thank you, Ref.
I think you guys are up there. That's reserved for you.
Okay, Jim on that.
Sit sort of behind you. Yeah. That's you. Want to just sit in the aisle?
We just wanted to make sure. I just put my purse down. Oh, Probably not.
It's really fresh. Yeah.
They'll take your mug.
Are you done with your mug? Okay. Well, then I'll just finish this.
Good morning, brother.
Morning, sister. Younger sister. Good for a young girl.
Your sister hot. Such great color. Oh, jealous. Good to see you.
Yeah. Oh, I can go.
My brain was telling me you were standing with us, and then I got like, oh, I'm still sitting over there. Oh, it's weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll just ask everybody to start making their way to their seats. On behalf of the family, we'd just like to thank everybody for their attendance today. Just a quick reminder before the service starts, if you have a cell phone, just make sure that mine wasn't on vibrate, but it is now, so if you'd just like to do the same. And we'll be starting the service just momentarily. Thank you.
Or if it's just like an edge, it's like an edge. But anything. Also, I love what you're doing with your sunglasses and your glasses. I know. I love that you're authentic.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If there's anyone standing up, there are seats on the veranda in the shade, and you are more than welcome to make your way. On behalf of the family, I would like to welcome each and every one of you here today as we honor the life of Alexander Michael Craig Rizzo. My name is Karen Block. I am a celebrant with Kettle Valley Memorial. I unfortunately never had the opportunity to meet Alex. However, this past week, I was able to spend a few hours with Candace, his fiance, Alex's parents, Michael and Constance, his sister, Billy Dawn and Katie, and Candace's mom, Cheryl. We also met a second time, and I got to meet Razul, Dave, Wade, and Jody, all part of Alex's work family at La View Pin and La Stella Wineries. His family and close friends helped bring me up to speed with so many heartfelt stories highlighting what life was like with Alex and the experiences he created with intent day in and day out. I was mesmerized and felt a deep sense of gratitude and privilege as story after story was shared, most with humor and laughter, and all of them with a respectful tone capturing the magnitude of Alex's life. Preparing for today's service, I had pages upon pages of notes that I had taken during my time with his family and friends. I read and reread the beautiful obituary that was so lovingly and respectfully written by Alex's fiancée, Candace. I also looked at the heartfelt condolences that poured in on Facebook, all in hopes that I could understand and most of all capture the essence of Alex's life as we gather to honor his legacy today. Alex was born and grew up in the Clinton and Goderich areas in southern Ontario near Lake Huron. His parents are Michael and Constance. Alex has an older sister, Billy Dawn, and had a younger brother named Daniel. It was very interesting and informative listening to Constance and Michael discuss family life, raising their children, and owning and operating a business called MP Russo and Associates, which included promotional materials, marketing, and warehouse distribution services. Constance pointed out that while most children love to get a snow day and stay home from school in Ontario, not Alex. He knew that that meant a full day of work was lined up for him. I think that it's safe to say that Alex's impeccable attention to detail, superb customer service skills, and outstanding hospitality is a product of his upbringing. He learned at a young age the importance of doing something right the first time, the impact of going above and beyond for your customer client base, and how going that extra mile benefits the customers, the work environment, the staffing team, as it builds morale and encourages everyone to genuinely work together in a fun, respectful, and productive environment that radiates positive energy and a can-do attitude. These sentiments were spoke many times in many different ways as people explained to me how Alex immersed himself with joy and with passion in his 12-year career with Enoteca, specifically at Le Vieux Pin and La Stella wineries. On Monday, I met the family for the first time. During that meeting, Candace, Constance, and Michael all took the time to describe the importance of Alex's career and how it was imperative that we meet again with some of the team members from the wineries in preparation for today's service. I had seen the beautiful tribute posted to the company pages, and I could see how much he meant to the owners, management, his co-workers, as well as all of the customers that he had taken the time to connect with in person, via newsletters, and the club members that he scribed personal notes to individually. Razul, Dave, Wade, and Jody came up to Trout Creek last Wednesday evening. These four men were his dear friends, as well as Alex's work family. So many heartfelt stories, full of countless emotions, were told that evening. I know that many companies aspire to create a work environment that feels like family. From my limited time, I can say with confidence that the Enoteca company literally have built an environment where the staffing team consider each other chosen family. They spend more time with each other than their loved ones, but they do it with pride, passion, joy, and enthusiasm. They cheer each other on, and together, they've built a flourishing company that employ people who have deep pride and loyalty. Alex started here 12 years ago. Razul spoke earnestly of how very appreciated and respected Alex was from the owners, the management, and the staffing family. Alex's legacy will continue on for years and years to come. I would like to share a little story that has made me smile quite a few times since last Wednesday night. I had just arrived at the house in Trout Creek. Introductions had been made. I was starting to take some notes, and truth be told, I was feeling a little nervous, even though everyone was so hospitable and welcoming. Candace wore her beautiful smile on her face and announced that she had some props that will go with some of the stories that they would be sharing with me about Alex and his distinct, unique, and eccentric personality. The topic of his wardrobe came up. They were all taking turns explaining the vibrancy that he admitted, his signature Alex walk, his perfectly crooked smile, and the way that he walked with a deep-seated ultra confidence that he possessed as he put together and wore combinations of clothing that no one else could probably pull off. He did it in a humble and genuine manner because at the very root of it all, he truly did not care what others thought about his style. He simply owned and loved his identity. Then the discussion moved on to some key clothing pieces and props that are actually on display here today, such as his captain's hat and his ice fishing toque, and last but not least, his beloved dashikis. Everyone laughed and they had a comment about the dashiki. At that point, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what in the world a dashiki was. I quickly came to the conclusion that this was not the time or place to fake it and pretend that I knew what they were talking about. So I said, excuse my ignorance, but what is a dashiki? There was some laughter, and then it was explained that it is an African ceremonial tunic that Alex loved to wear. In fact, he had a couple of them. I appreciated the explanation, but I was truly grateful when I think it was Wade that leaned over and said, "Do you remember what Eddie Murphy wore in the movie Coming to America?" At that point, the light bulb switched on in my head, and I could picture exactly what they were talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of Alex's beloved dashikis. During our visit, the topic of music came up. The guys from work were describing the fun that they had listening and sharing music at work. And then it was mentioned how very sad Alex was when Gordon Lightfoot passed away. Constance had been listening to the stories, but her face lit up with delight as she explained that she and Alex had been to a Gordon Lightfoot concert together years ago. She told us about the epic concerts she took her kids to, including Eric Clapton, Smash Mouth, Alanis Morissette, Lenny Kravitz, Weird Al Yankovic, the Crash Test Dummies, and they even saw his younger brother's favorite band, the Backstreet Boys. I listened with appreciation from the perspective of a parent. All I could think of was the efforts involved to get their children to these concerts. First of all, Michael and Constance had the realities of running a small business with limited staffing. Another major factor for their family is that Alex's younger brother, Daniel, was very sick at that time. He was in a wheelchair. Despite these logistical factors, it is safe to say that Alex's deep appreciation in music was forever influenced by these outings made possible by Michael and Constance. Alex's parents made it happen, and they created wonderful memories that will live on forever. There are things in life that simply are not fair. Getting engaged and days later having the love of your life pass away suddenly is not fair. Losing a child is not fair. Losing 2 children is beyond comprehension. It breaks my heart to explain that this is the reality for Alex's parents as well as for Alex's older sister, Billy Dawn. In 2001, Alex's younger brother, Daniel, passed away. Alex was 16 years old at the time, and Daniel was 13. Candace shared with me that on her first date with Alex, he asked her a very poignant question. It was, what defining childhood experience had the greatest impact on your life? Candace answered, and then he turned the question back to him. And Alex replied that it was the death of his younger brother. Now that's a pretty deep icebreaker question for a first date. But from everything that I have heard and information I've gathered, I wouldn't expect anything less from Alex. He learned at a young and tender age that life is precious, life is fragile, and that life is to be lived. I think that all of the beloved qualities everyone describes Alex with are certainly attributed to this period in his life growing up. At this time, I would like to invite Alex's parents, Michael and Constance, to please come up and say some words about their precious son.
Alexander, where do I begin? The outpouring of love from this community and anyone who crossed paths with Alex has been such a comfort to all of us during these last few weeks. Thank you. For me to have been blessed with one child who was bigger than life was a gift. But we were doubly blessed with Alexander. Unlike most of us, he learned at a young age the importance of life and that there are no guarantees. I believe the death of his younger brother Daniel when he was 16 really made him aware of that time was important and to cherish those little moments with people he met on his journey. Alex cared for everyone he encountered. His friendships were deep, long-lasting, and never trivial. We've been told many times what great parents we must be to have raised Alex to be the man he became. But we share that with honor, that honor with many people. Alexander was raised by his community, his teachers, his special Mrs. T, whom he hired at 18 months of age, our good friends, our employees, the people he worked with, and his many friends. Everyone played a part in how Alexander became the man he did. His 4 years of studying philosophy rounded out how he approached his life. If I were to reminisce about a time in his life when Alexander might have been a little difficult, I can't say there were many. However, perhaps those university years had their moments. Every time he came home, he challenged me with a new viewpoint, a philosophical approach, and a zest for his newfound knowledge that broadened his view of humanity and society. Through the filter of your choice. He was always his own self, exploring and being true to his heart. Growing up in a small business, gave Alexander a different perspective than most people about work and business. The stress, employee issues, critical time-sensitive deadlines for mass mailings and marketing projects were a big part of his early life. Logistics and looking at the big picture were equally instilled in him at an early age, in addition to hard work and loyalty. Remembering some of Alex's earlier career choices, being a sales guy like Dad, a buyer at Holt Renfrew, a concierge at Four Seasons, and a Canadian diplomat, I could see how he honed all those interests to make a career for himself at Review Pen and La Stella. He was a perfect fit, and we were so proud of him and all he accomplished. The Okanagan wouldn't have become a home for Alexander if it hadn't been for his boss at the Little Inn in Bayfield, telling him to check out BC wine before heading to Niagara. As hard as it was to see our son move so far away, Alexander made the right choice, and his co-workers quickly became his BC family. We're all indebted to all of them for the love and friendship they gave Alex over the last 12 years. There was only one thing missing in Alex's life, and that was love. One by one, all his university friends were getting married, but the right one never seemed to come along for Alex until one fateful date 4.5 years ago. It was love at first sight for Alex. He called and told me he was ready to profess his love on the third date. I told him he better slow down or he'd scare this girl away. Thankfully, he did not scare her away. But he was right. Candace was the one. Together they are magical. He gained yet another family, a very special family. Something that was so important to him, and they loved him. Their engagement was the happiest day ever for all of our families. So many plans, so many hopes, and so many dreams, so cruelly stolen from us. It doesn't seem real. Alexander, you're the best son a mom could ever ask for. We will keep you alive and close with stories, memories, and love. You taught us so much. Thank you.
I think I want to just bring a little more light and a little more levity to the whole process and tell you a story that kind of exemplifies my son. Long ago, probably in 1985 or 6, I started buying Bordeaux futures, and I put together quite a good collection, and we kind of saved it until Alex came home, and because they take probably 15 to 20 years of maturity before you can really get into them. So as I grew older and Alex grew up, I said to him, son, there's going to be a time when I'm going to stop buying Bordeaux futures. Because, as you know, I probably won't live long enough to drink them. Alex says, well, don't worry, Dad, I can look after that for you. So he got into Bordeaux futures, and I guess the interesting part of this is that his latest shipment is waiting for me at my liquor store in Goderich, Ontario. So we're going to drink a toast. Those will last another 15 years, and I hope we all can get together and toast my son. Thank you very much. Appreciate your coming out to visit with us.
Thank you, Constance. Thank you, Michael. At this time, I would like to ask Samantha to come up. She is Candace's sister. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We haven't met yet. I'm Sam, and I'm the love of Alex's life's sister. The Alex and Candace duo, also known as Cal, came into our lives just as suddenly as they were strong. One day, my sister couldn't fathom going on another first date again, and then bam, she met Alex, and their lives just clicked. I remember my husband and I talking to Alex, talking to Candace after one of their first dates, when he had made her an incredible mushroom risotto, just one of the many meals and packed lunches he prepared for her. He was her steady from the start. He knew what she wanted. She was unsure, not because she didn't like him, but because he was not only lovely, he was not only lovely, but also open and honest about how interested he was in her. She wasn't used to that. She thought he was too good to be true. And then as time went on, there he was and continued to be just as good as the best possible truth he could ever imagine for her. Through their years together, he proved to continue to be a strong and steady rock for my sister. With a very high-pressure job, a somewhat dynamic family, and especially through a pandemic, Alex was everything she needed and wanted, and so much more. She loved his humor, his beard, his culinary flair, and of course, his instant connection with Cleopatra. She didn't love hearing all his compliments, but man, did she ever deserve them and get used to them. My sister and I have been through a lot and aren't always easy to love, but Alex got it and he got her. From day one, he understood her, was patient with her, was by her side through difficult times, continuing to be her steady. Alex walked confidently and exuberantly into our core little family, proving his love and dedication for my deeds and everyone she loved time and time again. Cal was here to stay. After wonderful memories made, birthdays, holidays, and family trips, and almost 5 years of Alex and Candace's conquering waves together, I got the highly anticipated call that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with my sister as his teammate. I couldn't have been happier. He told me how complete she made him, that she was his forever, and that he was creating the most meaningful ring to show her exactly that. I couldn't have been more ecstatic to know someone so sincere, authentic, and understanding would love on my big sister forever. I gave him my blessing so fast he hardly had time for his clearly planned explanation. But I loved hearing what he had to say about her, about their time together and how them together made sense for the rest of time. They made each other's dreams come true with the love and joy they had for a wonderful future, story, and family together. Alex, my brother-in-law, this is absolutely devastating. Being here and seeing my sister without you is unfair and excruciating. I hate that I met your family this way, that will bond and love each other over loss instead of a beautiful future. But I want you to know my mom and I are so grateful for you. Candace needed and deserved you, and I believe you needed and deserved her too. I'm so grateful that you got to show her what love is. She got to fully love you back, and that you were there for her, for me, and for our family in all kinds of moments. Hard to read with tears. Okay. Thank you for playing with my kids tirelessly, for throwing baseballs and watching dance routines, making silly jokes and tickling tummies, for loving on them and making them feel special. They love you so much, and we love you so much. I try to take a bit of comfort imagining you embracing and catching up with your brother, meeting our ever so Ukrainian grandma. She'll probably make sure you can make pierogies. And great grandma Mina, she'll continue to remind you what a gem you found on this earth. Our friend Cole will be there too. He looks tough, but he's a softie, and we'll be so happy to meet you. And I imagine that one day we'll hug and laugh again on the other side. Thank you to your wonderful family, to Michael, Constance, Billy, Dawn, and Katie, for all your love and acceptance. We are proudly and forever intertwined by Cal's incredible love. Rest in sweet peace, Alex. You are deeply loved. You and your presence will forever be immensely missed. But I know you've still got her, and we do too on this side. But keep those little messages and signs coming, please, because we're hearing you loud and clear. And just know you did so good, you good egg. Cheers.
Thank you, Sam. That was absolutely beautiful. At this time, I would like to call up Alex's best friend, Mike.
There you go. It's tough to do this. Good afternoon, everyone. Alex's friends and his family and everyone here. I'm here as Alex's best friend, but so is Ben, and so is Billy, so is Sean. But then again, I think many people here could say that and be just as correct. Alex was loved by everyone he came in contact with. I'd like to share a few remembrances we had of him and convey some of his best qualities. We met Alex on September 5th, 2004. I know it was that day because it was the first day of Frosh Week. And we all lived on Leonard 4th East. The first memory I have of Alex is he came up to me after we all introduced ourselves and we did an icebreaker of what are you studying, and I was in computer science and he was in philosophy, and his lead-in was, so do you like Mac computers? And I was like, no, dude, I don't, but maybe you can change my mind. Much to my chagrin, I'm now rocking an iPhone and a MacBook Air, so Alex, you win. Throughout our university days, Alex proved over and over again that he was always there for us. At first, it was because he was 19, and that was the legal age at the time. But later, when we had girlfriends and inevitable breakups, the dude was there any hour of the day. He'd say things like, "You want a beer?" and talk about it over some Mario? And I'd say, "Yeah, dude, I do." Alex's love of food and wine was something we learned about early on, but came to appreciate more and more over the years. After we moved out in second year, Ben, Alex, and I moved into 354 Brock, and were subject to our landlord, Joe Baby. Billy was on Brock Street too, just a few blocks up, and so was Sean. One of my fondest memories of that year was our family dinners that we had on more Sundays than not. Usually some roast of some kind, and Alex brought some amazing wine that we really didn't deserve to have access to. Later, after I'd moved to Vancouver and Alex was in a Soyuz, I came down with some friends for his 30th birthday party. I had never before, and I have never since, had as good food and wine as that party. It was mental. He cooked a whole porterhouse, like 10 kilograms of porterhouse. And he did it in one of the hotel ovens, low and slow, for 24 hours. He also produced mashed potatoes in the French style, equal parts butter and potato. The cost of entry to that birthday party was one excellent bottle of wine. I'll admit that being a grad student at the time meant I didn't bring the best bottle to the table, but my God, did it open my eyes to what good and great wine was. I am grateful, though my wallet isn't, what Alex taught me. Billy and Alex have an especially special bond through food and wine that started almost as soon as they met, sharing glasses of wine in first year together. They developed a regular habit of watching their favorite show, The Trailer Park Boys, and classing it up by debating the finer points of each of the glasses they had. Billy remembers being blown away by Alex's deep knowledge of wine, which is a credit to his homeschooling that he clearly had. Billy notes that he has no recollection of the first bottle, but that it helped him find his path into hospitality, and he remembers that it was the best bottle he'd ever had. Billy remembers the generosity of being all around the whole Russo family, and them opening their home, their kitchen, and their cellar for him over the years. From those humble beginnings in first year to being a wine director with over 20 restaurants under his belt, Billy credits his start to that first glass shared in first year. Now, some might not know it, but Alex was actually a sportsman. Not just an e-sport player of Mario after hours with his buddies, but a real outdoor sports guy too. Alex and I would go for the odd jog around East Van when we lived there, and I swear I have photographic proof. And I know he loved his 90s BMX for cruising around the Okanagan. The successor is right here, I think. Ben, though, had a really special bond with Alex when it came to sports. They often debated the finer points of the PGA Tour, McIlroy versus Mickelson. I never got it, but it was really important. I remember the long, drawn-out conversations Ben and Alex had after their many philosophy classes, talking about Hegel, Sartre, and Kant. No matter how long the conversations went or how contentious they would go, they'd always end with Ben and Alex coming together and laughing on the issue of how weird their professors were. For me, it always made me laugh that Alex could only read philosophy texts in one way: in his underwear, with his feet on his desk, and his socks tied around his ankles. You do you, Al. Alex had a lot of friends, and I actually didn't realize how many until quite recently. I've been getting messages from the folks that we knew together, but maybe haven't seen for years and years. Each of them were just as shocked as I was, chiefly because Alex had just had a conversation with them. Video messages to ask how they were doing, maybe a conversation of something they had in common, or just a simple funny Instagram he found that made him think of them. I'm always blown away, but just the sheer number of people he always kept in contact with. The thread of how far Alex went with his friends was perennial. In 2019, Alex and Candace had been dating for a little while, and Candace went to Australia to visit some friends and watch some tennis matches. Alex, not to be outdone, came all the way to Oceania and visited me in New Zealand. Alex came and stayed with me and my wife for about 3 weeks, and we made the most of it. I felt like it was over before it began. I was still working during the day, but every day I raced home from work, eager to hear what he'd been up to, be it climbing one of Auckland's volcanoes, visiting various wine shops, or just getting ice cream at the beach. It went that way for about a week while he was there, and then we went for a grand road trip, tracing the coastline around the Coromandel's white beaches and down to Rotorua with its volcanic hot springs of every color. We went out to Hawke's Bay to taste the gimlet gravel of wine, and Alex always surprised me. There was actually only one winery he wanted to visit, and after that he didn't want to work. He wanted to see the sights, sit on some beaches, and just spend time reconnecting. We capped off the trip by going to some beautiful glowworm caves underground. And a funny thing Alex did for every day he was in New Zealand was he photographed a tree and he put it on Instagram and called it the Tree of the Day. If you go back through his Instagram, you can probably still see them. I'm sure they're there. Finally, because I can't just gush on about the guy forever, I'll leave with a memory of the last time we partied together. Last fall, Alex organized a trip to come to Toronto for a wine event with Billy at the swanky Toronto restaurant that he's had sommelier at, Canoe. Each of Ben, Billy, and I managed to get such a deep reconnection with him, and it meant so much to us, especially in hindsight. Alex added a couple days to that trip, more than he needed to, just so he could see us. The first stop was to meet in Kingston. I now live in Ottawa, so it's a good halfway for us to meet at, and we hadn't been there together since 2008. I drove down and picked him up at the Kingston train station, and man, the memories of leaving for Christmas or various family holidays just kept flooding back in. We had the biggest hug. We wound our way down memory lane through the Queen's campus and pulled up to Leonard Hall. Such a place of legendary memories. We just told stories back and forth. From there we went to Joe Beebe's 354 Brock Street and eventually the infamous 19 Aberdeen Street, the place of flipped cars and riots and pancake keggers. We took photos and told stories the whole way, and they just flowed out of us like they'd been bottled up too long. It brought both of us such joy to relive those memories, just for the moment. We finished with the trip with a poutine at Bubba's and a lunch of wings and cran-apple cider at the Kingston Brew House. After that, we went back to Ottawa and he met my son Henry. I'll never forget how excited he was to do that and be crazy Uncle Al. He gave Henry a couple books, incidentally written in the Coromandel of New Zealand when he visited. The books were I Broke My Butt and My Butt Has a Crack. A day later we went to Ben's cottage and I didn't know it, but it was the perfect coda. We spent the weekend having family dinners, talking bullshit, and playing Mario. Anyway, after that we packed up the cottage. Alex rode shotgun back to Toronto, giving he and Ben some time to hang out. And then he saw Billy and they spent the night developing sales leads. And I understand he did it quite successfully because the guy was good at his job, being everyone's instant best friend. I know he stayed the night with Billy afterwards, and they too had the gift of plenty of time to reconnect. I'm really grateful for his friendship. And to say that I was one of his best friends. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Those details brought everything to life. Thank you. It was stated to me that Alex lived in color while the rest of us exist in black and white. It has been reiterated in many different ways that Alex was genuine, loyal, loving, and joyful to the very core of his soul. In fact, Candace showed me a letter that he had given her. It was a small letter. It was sealed in an envelope with hot wax that he had stamped. And inside was an invitation. It was written in his very distinct handwriting. It had impeccable grammar and manners, and it even had a simple sketch of steaming coffee cups that complemented his cordial invitation. This is a small but significant example of how Alex approached life. I'm not sure that I've ever met anyone that consistently made these efforts in all areas of his life. Having these skills, abilities, and perhaps most importantly, the initiative and drive to approach life in this manner day in and day out is going to be the legacy that so many people will remember when thinking about Alexander Rousseau. Next, I'm going to read a poem. It is titled, What Will Matter? And it is written by Michael Johansson. Ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. All of the things you collected, whether treasured or forgotten, will pass to someone else. Your wealth, fame, and temporal power will shrivel to irrelevance. It will not matter what you owned or what you were owed. Your grudges, resentments, frustrations, and jealousies will finally disappear. The wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away, and it won't matter where you came from or what set of the tracks you lived on at the end. It won't matter whether you were beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, but how many people will feel a lasting loss when you're gone. What will matter is not your memories, but the memories of those who loved you. What will matter is how long you will be remembered, by whom, and for what. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Choose to live a life that matters. In all of the stories that I've heard today and in this past week, that's exactly how Alex lived. That's why I wanted to share that poem. We are winding up the formal part of this service. The family has asked that I let you know that there will be an open mic opportunity here throughout the afternoon, and that you are all very welcome to come up and share any memories, stories, or toasts, or well wishes in regards to Alex's family. We have also set up 3 different stations located here on the table and where the guest book was. There is a pail, a silver pail that has recipe cards, and there are some pens. You are more than welcome to write any stories, and you can drop them in the glass beside, or you can come up and you can read them at the open mic, whatever you would like. To complete today's service, I ask that Candace's mom, Cheryl, to please come up and say some final words on behalf of the family.
Hello, everyone. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of personally meeting yet, I am Cheryl Truliving, Candace's mom and Alex's mother-in-law. As a mom, there are key milestones throughout life that truly shape your world forever. Having a child, raising a child to be strong, independent, passionate, and compassionate. And your dream for them to meet that special someone they can trust and whose authentic self can be trusted and loved unconditionally, who they can share their hopes and dreams as well as their fears and anxieties with. Someone who will ride the wave of life with you, as Alex would say. As a mom, I was truly blessed that both my incredible daughters found their person. Samantha with Spencer, Candace with Alex. I now have 2 sons. In both, I was blessed with authentic, kind, compassionate men of integrity and love, and quickly knew their teams of 2 were stronger than the sum of the parts, and the villages they brought with them were truly remarkable. Our family of 3 grew exponentially. My mama heart was full knowing that they had found their person to move through life with, not because they needed to, but because they chose to allow someone into their heart and the world, and the village grew bigger and stronger. As a single mom, I have always believed strongly that it takes a village to raise a child. These last 2 weeks, I realized more than ever the incredible value of village as Alex and Candace's villages came together in remarkable ways. So quickly, to surround, hold, love, and care, and reassure Candace she and we were not alone, and that together they would get her and Alex's family through this seemingly impossible earthly goodbye. Oh, what incredible villages you all are, and how you have all come together so quickly, and for that I am eternally grateful and deeply appreciative. To Alex's family, thank you for your son, whose gentle persistence, unwavering patience, charming exuberance won over my strong, fiercely independent, loving, but guarded daughter. I will miss watching the magic that was and will continue to be their love connection with each other and with the people who were so fortunate to share their life together. I believe their love for each other extends well beyond this world, and while I or we will all truly miss seeing that perfectly imperfect smile and feel that endless optimism, I believe deep in my heart Alex will always be the steadying force that will consistently be there to remind Candace of her strength and her ability to get through anything and make it happen. To the rest of this awesome group of villages before me, thank you for enriching the lives of Candace and Alex. Your impact on their life helped shape them individually and as an impermeable team whose love grew not only because of each other, but because of you and your encouragement, kindness, care, wisdom, wit, and the individual love you brought to their team. I hope, you continue to do this as we all continue to lock arms together to get through this unfathomable loss of our son, brother, nephew, uncle, dear friend, and dear husband. Thank you for coming. Thanks for your love, caring, kindness, and especially your hope now and in the days, weeks, months ahead as we move forward with Alex in our hearts forever. Please join us for refreshments to share moments, memories, stories, hugs, and laughter of a man deeply loved by so many and who will always be remembered for his incredible impact on each of us personally and collectively. Thank you so much for coming.
gentlemen, this concludes the formal part of the service. The family thanks everybody for their attendance today, and as Cheryl said, there will be some refreshments just served just up on the balcony there. Thank you.
Very nice.
I'm gonna print it out for next week. I just kept losing my spot. I was like, whatever. Hey, you.